The answer is flowing in the wind, how they sing. Okay, the feeling of guilt. Open any magazine. There are lots of pictures like that. Hungry people asking for your dollar. Donation. Think about it. Emma De Leon has no one else to turn to except you. See how many pictures? I collected them within 1 week. And who helps them? Rock stars. Through United Nations, UNICEF. And how they use this money? They buy arms. Have you noticed that countries like Philippines never ask for donations? Why? Because they have free market system. Oh yes, they have military dictatorship, oppression of civil rights. But for some strange reason, only those countries which are already liberated by Marxists are asking for your donations. Why? And when they get these donations, will you be my friend? This is what Time magazine wants you to think. If not, the implication is this is what's going to happen. Kolwezi, when white miners stationed in this small country, African country, were murdered by so-called National Liberation Movement. This is the result. Raped and murdered after your donations. And who is supporting these movements? Of course, United Nations. Okay, we'll come later on to the question of semantic manipulation. Everybody knows that United Nations is not united and it's not nations, but we continue to call them. I don't know how many people notice the striking similarity between the emblem of United Nations and emblem of the USSR. You think it's coincidence? The symbolism is obvious, unless you are blind, of course. And the creator of the United Nations Charter is an American, Alger Hiss, standing next to Comrade Molotov, sitting there on the left. We know he was a Soviet spy, but he is at large now. Alger Hiss, he's a lawyer, a respected citizen of the United States, a former Soviet spy. Well, you know, this guy is Daniel Ellsberg. He published secret papers of Pentagon. Why not of Soviet military-industrial complex? He's a respected citizen of the United States. Dr. Spock, Agony of Vietnam. I forget what's his name. Oh, yeah. How many men has to die before they understand the, I don't remember the lyrics of the song, but it was a very impressive song. When I was a Soviet student, I almost cried when I listened to that. And I thought, my God, what a nice fella. John Baez, very nice couple of kids. Jane Fonda, she was crying on location in Vietnam, beautifully filmed by American Hollywood filmmakers. What is she doing now? Did she ever defend both people? Did she say a word in defense of Vietnamese? Or say about horrors of coming out of this? No, she's busy preaching the health or whatever. And also, she takes part in demonstration against South African racism. Not about this. And not about this. This is liberation movement warriors. Jane Fonda didn't say anything about that racism. A black killed by blacks simply because he is anti-communist. That's just a symbolic picture. Okay, now next thing, I'm going to show you some slides which are also nothing sensational, but may provoke some questions in your mind. Maybe not. Okay. The more questions you have, the better, because we'll come to systematic explanation of the phenomenon later. Now I want you just to get excited. Hollywood actress talking to Fidel Castro. Nothing wrong, of course. Depends what is the message or what's the subject of talking. I bet you never heard about this fella. He's an American singer, Dean Reed. He's singing in Moscow for some strange reason. And you know what he's singing about? Oppression, civil rights in USA, and about poor Americans who cannot survive. Well, I don't want to be too critical of Pope, of Catholic Church, but some statements which he made at the earlier years of his becoming a pontiff of Catholic Church, strikingly unpleasant to me. Communism and church can coexist. Can they? Well, you should ask Russian Orthodox priests who were literally exterminated by the Soviet communists. Communism and church can coexist. I don't think so. Catholic Times. I collected this newspaper in a Catholic church which I attend, although I'm Orthodox Christian, as Russians, most of them are. But I do come to Catholic church because my wife is a Catholic, so I don't see much difference, because God, I suppose, is one, so Jesus Christ is also the same which church, whichever you go. But Christians and socialism is something that doesn't really appeal to me. I don't know, how about you? Social justice central to gospel, is it? I never heard about it. Join with Marxists? It's from the same newspaper. And that's how they joined with Marxists. Nicaragua, before Sandinista came to power. A priest with machine gun behind his back. And the machine gun, of course, Kalashnikov, if you know anything about machine guns. Okay, then there are some strange deviations from religious path. What's his name? Jim Jones. Reverend? Nice looking guy with adopted kids, and shaking hands with a politician, Mayor George Moscone, in 1976. Very nice. Really fun. That's how it all ended, you remember. More than 900 people who poisoned themselves together with their kids in Guyana. This is a very interesting picture. It's not very clear. Instead of Jesus Christ, they put a naked lady, in the church. Strange, huh? Of course it's strange. Crucifix of a woman for Palm Sunday. Boy, Jesus Christ would turn in his grave if he were engraved. Now this is something that also indicates some strange occurrences within the framework of organized religion. In Struggle, a paper with hammer and sickle, published by a Canadian group of Trotskyites, very dynamic, extremely radical group. They challenged the question, whose democracy is this? Meaning that Canadian democracy is not democracy at all, simply because that radical group is challenged by the local police. Right? So nothing new, we know about this. But look where this paper is being distributed. Political repression, Friday, October, Battle Street, United Church. Strange, huh? See, this is the same leaflet, enlarged.